Okay, fobs with fingers. A few complaints that you hear about fobs as an alternative to fletching is but some of the following things. You can't shoot them off a recurve bow. You can't shoot them with fingers. And you have to use a fall-away. And not all these things are true. I would agree that you have to use a fall-away rest. I don't see how you're going to avoid that. But you can shoot them off a recurve, and you can shoot them using a finger release. First thing you're going to need, if you're going to shoot with a recurve, is of course a recurve. The recurve does have to have at least one thing going for it, and that is it has to be set up with a burger hole so that you can put a rest on. Not a stick-on flipper type rest, but a rest. If you're set up for a plunger button, you're set up for a fall-away rest. Okay. The second thing that's going to happen is it's still going to have to be a fall-away rest, and it's going to have to be an inertia style fall-away rest, like this trap door. Okay. Simply fired by, or activated rather, by the bow firing. Okay. The third thing that I think is going to have to just be a fact of shooting for this setup is when you release with your fingers, you're going to have to use a 3-finger under or Apache style release. Okay, you could probably, I guess if you're dedicated to shooting split fingers, you can do it, but as you can see, it's going to stretch things way out, and it's going to be, at least for me, it would be too awkward. I shoot 3 fingers under anyway, so it works out for me. Okay, when you set this thing up, the archer's paradox, your arrow spine, the side-to-side bending of the arrow that happens with a finger release becomes pretty critical. You have to make sure you're spined right. This will not shoot an arrow that isn't spined correctly. But once you get your spine set up right, you get your drop away set up right, and the drop away setup is just as simple as it is with a compound. I set mine up so that I get the bare minimum of clearance between the fob and the riser, trusting that the archer's paradox, the side-to-side motion of the arrow as it leaves the bow, is going to clear that sight window. And trust me, it is. When I set this bow up and tuned it, or at least preliminarily tuned it, I shot a bare shaft through paper at 3 yards, I suppose, to set my knock height. Okay, and make sure my knock height was as level as possible with the arrow coming off the bow. And if you do that, you should be able to shoot your fobs from your recurve using a finger release. This distance is 20 yards. Now, if I could just get a deer to stand still like that for 3 shots. Fobs with fingers. If they tell you it can't be done, it's because they ain't tried it yet.